I just saw a video of Kevin Samuels. He had a sit down with a woman by the name of Brittany Renner, who's, I guess, a popular side chick, nymphomaniac, Jezebel, Instagram bimbo. But this video ain't gonna be about her. It's gonna be about what Kevin Samuels said in the video. And before he said it, he asked her a question. He said, where do you want to be several years from now, as far as relationships are concerned? And he mentioned COVID. He said one thing that COVID has made a lot of people realize is how important relationships are, in social engagement and things like that. And to an extent, I get his point. But before I go on, it's pretty obvious. Kevin Samuels, he's a real extroverted guy. He's a very social guy. He's one of those types, And one thing I notice about really social people and extroverted people, they like to talk for everybody. When he was making these comments about how COVID is affecting people and this and that, first thing I was thinking, speak for yourself. Speak for yourself. And that goes for most extroverted people, because one thing I know is they like to talk for everybody. Extroverts, they think what they feel everybody else feels, and that's not true. Humans, they're the most complex animals out of all animals. A lot of times you'll hear really social and extroverted people say, they'll try to, and they usually say this as a way to kind of manipulate and strong arm not so super extroverted social people. They try to strong arm these people into just revealing everything and talking their asses off. They say, well, human beings are meant to be social creatures. We're meant to do this. No, humans were meant to be whatever the hell they want to be. Humans were meant to be whatever the hell they choose to be. Humans can be really social, but they can also be super introverted, non-social, whatever you want to call it. That's the beauty about being a human being. You get to choose what you want to be. It's like they say, oh, we're able to talk for a reason. Yeah, but we're also able to shut the fuck up for a reason as well. Unlike most animals, and you see this with animals as well. Not every animal on the planet is super social, and the same thing goes for humans as well. Humans, humans don't feel the same way all other humans feel. My brain's kind of getting scattered right now. I'm trying to figure out how to word this. But humans, they have different likes and dislikes. What you like in the bedroom may not be the same as what somebody else likes in the bedroom. What kind of food you like, your favorite colors, music, your style of expression, everything, the whole nine. Humans are not the same. And this applies to being social and not being social, or whatever the case may be. But back to Kevin Samuels, the reason I took issue with it is because don't speak for yourself, man. Don't speak for everybody else. As far as COVID is concerned, I'm gonna keep it real with you. Ain't nothing changed with me. All this quarantining, as a person that I would consider myself on the far end, on the introverted, on the spectrum between introversion and extroversion, COVID ain't changed a damn thing in my life. This quarantining shit, I was quarantining before COVID, you know what I'm saying? I was quarantining before COVID. So, I've never been the one that was into the club scene, bar scenes. I can't stand that. Even if I do go to a gym or whatnot to work out, I be trying to go when it ain't nobody in there, because I don't like being around a whole bunch of people. You know what I'm saying? That's one of the things. That's another thing too. I like working out in the winter when it's cold outside, because there ain't nobody out there. Watching your moves, taking pictures. You ain't got to worry about dudes with their girlfriends, looking at you and hating on you and thinking, now you gotta move somewhere else because dude watching you, trying to make sure his girl ain't watching you. That's stupid shit, man. So I'm one of those types of people. Yeah, COVID is a blessing with me, because it made it easier for me to kind of maneuver and kind of be around. I don't have to dip and dodge so many people because nobody was out anyway. But back to my main point. Speak for yourself. Extroverts, speak for yourself. Not everything you feel, everybody don't feel that same way. And a lot of times, I like to compare the civilian world to prison life. Civilian world to prison. I feel like civilian life in the prison world sort of parallels each other, especially depending on the society you come from. Whatever society you live in, the prison system is pretty much a reflection of that society, and a lot of times you hear stories about prisoners going to solitary confinement and this and that, and solitary confinement just destroying them, you know, driving them insane, people go crazy. That's what they say, right? And to an extent, you know, that is true. Solitary confinement does break a lot of people. But what types of people? It goes back to what I said. Human beings, we're so complex. The things that bug one person may not bug another person. Our needs, our wants, our desires, everything is totally different. So solitary confinement may certainly break a real social person, a person that lives off a connection with other people. You know, they get their energy from other people, you know. So solitary confinement will break that person, you know, to the point where they smearing feces on the walls, and you know, they're in there butt naked in a cell, shivering, talking to themselves and all, you know what I mean? Well, I mean, not talking to yourself ain't too bad. You know, I go through my moments when I talk to myself too as well. But, you know, you don't want to go overboard with it. If you're smearing feces on the wall and stuff, then you're taking that overboard, right? Of course, you know. Well, solitary confinement, that doesn't do that to everybody. If you're dealing with a person that more or less don't like dealing with the bullshit, being around a lot of people, because generally, let's be honest, with being real social comes dealing with a lot of bullshit. And there are a lot of people out there that would prefer solitary confinement. Some people get thrown in segregation and are completely fine. They don't lose their damn minds. They're very productive. They end up writing books, picking up a skill, learning how to draw, all kinds of stuff. You know, so solitary confinement doesn't break every individual, and it comes back to the individual. You know, and I think it has more so to do with whether you're an introvert and an extrovert. I can imagine solitary confinement really breaking a lot of extroverted people that they get their energy off of other people, you know. So I can imagine why COVID, it has probably broken a lot of super social people, you know, people that they gotta be out there interacting, they gotta be on the town, at bars, clubs, you know, in the mix around a lot of people, you know. And if you just all of a sudden take that away, it's gonna drive you nuts. I can imagine. But again, everybody ain't driven nuts having to deal with quarantines or being thrown in isolation. Some people thrive in those situations. You know, if you look at some of the greatest minds, you know, a lot of them, some of the greatest inventions and breakthroughs throughout history have come by way of the introverted mind. The mind that is more, you know, that functions better in solitude, you know, by himself, you know. Some of the best breakthroughs throughout history have come by way of that type of mind. And if you look at monks, you know, like, because a lot of times super extroverted people say, oh, we need this, we need that, we're meant to be social. Monks are they're introverted, you know, they kind of do their own thing. They're very simple, solitary, you know, they abstain from sex and alcohol and all those things, and they're fine. You don't really hear any crazy stories about monks. It's ironically enough, super social people that, you know, they want to talk about it's healthy to be social, it's healthy. But if you realize, you look at statistically, the most of the people that are engaging in crazy acts, violence or whatnot, and it's usually people that are always looking for social stimulation, you know, generally speaking. I said in another video, yeah, every once in a blue moon you may have the quiet person that just might snap, right? But generally the climate, any kind of bad things that's going on, craziness, dysfunction, it's all fostered by hyper social extroverted people. Not the quiet. Like I always say this, it ain't the quiet people you gotta watch out for. It's the motor mouths you gotta watch out for. They the ones that's gonna fuck you over in the end. If you ask yourself, think about any time a person has like screwed you over in your life. Were they quiet or were they extroverted? Answer that. You know, if you ever got fired from your job or you've been harassed from your job, anybody just trying to, you know, someone that was trying to screw you over in any way, extroverted or introverted, quiet or a motor mouth. I'll rest my case, point blank, you know what I mean? So, goddamn, what was the even point of this motherfucker? What's the point of this video? I can't even think of the point of it. I think the point I'm trying to make is extroverts, speak for yourself. All right, stop trying to say, you know, tell everybody what they need as human beings. Every human is different. All right, what you need, I don't need. You may need a whole bunch of socializing, talking, relationship drama, beefing with enemies at work. You know, some people they live for that. You know, it invigorates them. It sharpens their mind. It actually increases productivity. Some people, if you are the opposite, you know. Everybody needs different things, you know what I mean? So Don't speak for me. Speak for yourself. Speak for yourself, or speak for the group that you identify with, or the group that you represent. Yeah, because I mean, honestly, you don't represent me, so don't speak for me. Okay. You know, everybody. Okay, there are so many people. People are gonna have similarities, right? But you know, similarities doesn't mean your cores are like similar. You know, it's all about the core. And if our cores don't match, you really can't speak for me. Our core values ain't there. You can't speak for me. I know. As an introvert, I can honestly say, if you throw me in any kind of like solitary confinement situation where I ain't got to deal with a lot of people, I'll be all right. I ain't going to be eating my own feces or nothing. You know what I mean? Because I don't like really being around a lot of people like that anyway. You know what I'm saying? So don't, to an extent, I guess generalizations can be made, and then to another extent, they can't. And this is an example of when it's just bullshit. Don't generalize all human beings and say what they're meant to be. They're meant to be social. Humans will be whatever. They're meant to be whatever the fuck they want to be. They were meant to be wherever the hell they want to be. Okay? So all these social people, you hyper extroverts that get off on the drama and the social interaction and invigorates you, speak for yourself. Speak for yourself. On that note, peace out.